Today's card of the day is Tasha's Hideous Laughter. One blue and a blue for a sorcery with each opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until that player has exiled cards with total mana value 20 or more. That art is gorgeous. I was looking up Tasha, not quite sure who they are, but I believe it's some strong sorceress that may or may not have a spell named after them, which means it's pretty strong. Essentially in D&D, when you have a spell named after you and this spell is sort of renowned, that is, it's sort of tied within the whole magic system, it becomes pretty strong because the magic system is also used by like gods and things and such. So it's a pretty big deal. I'm guessing Tasha is. I'm not quite sure if the person, I guess the snake dragon thing is Tasha, but the fact in itself is like really strong. So you exile each opponent, that is. So this is like a AOE, dare I say. Hits every opponent, exiles 20 CMC or MV worth of magic cards. And this just basically means the higher level of magic you're playing, the stronger this is going to be. Like, even take this and play a couple copy effects, and you're going to end up like milling a bunch of people's like, strong effects like they want to play. You even might mill a win counter too. And I think that I think Warren's definitely a card of the day. And I think even perhaps some sunlight in competitive EDH, because I know a lot of people have a lot of like strong cards, and just being able to hit all of them is just, I mean, dare to say, pretty strong. But the fact that this is only 3 mana, it doesn't do nothing on the board. But I think generally when you're playing EDH, higher level pods, doing nothing on the board isn't that bad. But I know more and more it's becoming more of a popular thing to interact with or put things on the board, because there are more stronger stacks effects coming out and stronger creatures, which is, I think, is generally how Magic should be played, where like creatures are there to be actually have like an effect on the board. So like this is, other than that, this is like pretty strong effect. I think the strongest deck that this is strongest against, I think, decks that rely on something like a ad nauseum, because if that's the case, you basically mill like, I dare say like a third maybe of your deck, because most of it is like, I think, average CMC of like 1 or something, like less than 1. And so that means like every card in their deck is like sub 2, right? And that means you're milling about 20 cards, maybe more. That's really good. And if you're not milling the 20 cards, it's like you're probably hitting like ad nause, or like a card that's probably worth, like really worth being that high of a CMC. Generally, cards that are lower CMC, mana value, probably not going to be that strong of an effect. Like, you'll have like a bunch of cantrips, maybe a few kill spells. But if it costs more than like 2 in an ad nause deck, it's over. It's over. Okay. Add that with like a any copy effect on a spell, like 40 CMC worth of cards exiled. Ooh, that's rough. And the best thing about this card is it's just exiled. It's just exiled. So they're not getting this back unless you're playing like a few of the green or white spells that do get it back. Yeah, generally really strong card. I definitely like this. Of course, the lower your CMC, or the lower MV, or the lower pod you are in, probably gonna be worse, because like you play against something like a Galt or whatever. If people are playing Galtos in a deck, you're only milling like 2 or 3 cards, right? Like, let's be honest. You're not going place with this card. 3 mana, mill 3 cards. Eh, not too strong. You can see why that's the case, right? Like, you mill a Galta, you mill like an Approach of the Second Sun, you mill like a Gishath or whatever. Yeah, you're not milling much if you're playing super Timmy decks, which is interesting too, because it's very obvious to see how like lower CMC decks can bite back. I really wish they do push these designs where like it does hammer in on those people who play more efficient cards, because then it does give some sway in deck building, and that like having the most efficient cards isn't always the best thing to do. So I hope that they do more this route. It'll definitely lead to more interesting deck designs. It does make things like, some people will say like, oh, this card's strictly better, but then they're like, if this card comes up and the card that people think are strictly better is just a lower mana value, like the card that people would assume that isn't the best of the 2 cards that they would call the other one strictly better of, it'd probably be better because it costs more and thus lessens the strength of Tasha's Hideous Laughter. So take that as a grain of salt, I guess, if you want. I like this card. I think this card is sweet. I don't know how they would add this different colors or push this sort of effect, but I definitely do like this effect, and I do hope people are a little more scared of playing those high, super efficient, hyper efficient value cards. But of course, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Is it good? Is it bad? Are you guys playing in your deck? What kind of decks you're playing it? Probably playing a mill deck, of course, but what other decks are you playing it in? Is it like a win con or something of something? I don't know. But yeah, let me know.